In this video, we're going to show you how to install the fuel pump and module on your Ford Focus located inside your gas tank. I want to go ahead and come in on the passenger side kick panel right here. We need to loosen these two retainers. Grab a flathead screwdriver. I want to go ahead and unscrew these. Then I want to pop this off. I'm just going to reach behind it and gently pull this out, working this out. Now right here, you want to lift up on the sill plate. That's going to allow us to pull this out. The reason why we pull that out is we need to access the inertia switch right here. We want to disconnect this harness. I'm going to use my flathead screwdriver. You can use a pocket screwdriver. Pry out gently and pull the gray connector down. Once that's undone, we're going to hop into the vehicle and crank the engine until the vehicle runs out of fuel. Let's go ahead and start the vehicle. Now it died out. We're going to try it again. Okay, at that point there, our fuel system is drained. Let's go ahead and continue. With the fuel system drained out, we're going to go ahead and reconnect our inertia switch. We're not going to be starting the vehicle until the job is done. Snap that on. Go ahead and grab your cover and just reinstall that. Just gently snug these down. They don't have to be super tight. You just want to secure that panel in place. And let's continue. Open up the hood, locate your battery. Using a 10mm socket, loosen the ground terminal nut and disconnect the cable end. Open up the fuel door, release the cap, and let that hang. And we're going to start with the vehicle raised and supported safely. And we're going to access the fuel filler neck and the return line. We're going to access that right up in front of the rear cradle and above the rear sway bar. Now there's a clamp right here that's holding the rubber fuel filler neck to the tube, the steel tube right here. I'm going to use my flathead screwdriver to try and loosen up this clamp. Now, when doing a job like this here, it's always best to make sure that you are wearing safety glasses. Chances are your car might be a little bit rusty if it's around the same age as ours. Slide that hose clamp off. Now you want to go ahead and pull this rubber hose off of the steel tube. And because of the age of the vehicle, chances are that rubber tube is kind of stuck to that steel tube. I simply take the pick and I put it in a little angle. I don't want to cut the rubber or poke a hole in it, but I want to get underneath and just kind of push it around, working that rubber free, breaking that seal free. I'm going to use a pry bar. I'm going to come up underneath here, right on the edge, and I'm going to use the lower control arm for leverage. I'm going to reach up and pull on this while I pry it. And our goal is to separate this hose. Pop that off like so. And then we're going to be able to pull this over at an angle and tuck that over. Now, due to the fuel vapors coming out of this tube, I'm going to go ahead and grab an old glove, put it over it, and use a tie strap to go ahead and seal this up for vapors. Make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area when doing this job. Now, I went ahead and folded back our fuel filler neck and we held it back with a tie strap. Now right here, we want to go ahead and disconnect this. Now there's a white locking tab on here, like a lock that holds this in place. There's a little tab here and one on the bottom. We need to pinch these together and push it out the other side. We're going to do this using a pair of hose pliers to get up and evenly pinch this because the clearance is tough by hand. I'm going to pinch these tabs, and I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver to come up on the other side here and try and pull that through. Now that white clip is only going to come out so far. Then we can go ahead and grab this and pull it out. Now at this point here, we have our clip moved back. We'll undo the clips here and kind of release those back so that clip can come back. We can pop that right off and remove that. All right. Now between our gas tank and the floor pan of the vehicle, on the passenger side, you gotta locate the fuel filter. Now there are two lines that go into it. One has a green locking clip, the other one has a red locking clip. We need to disconnect these both. Now there is gonna be fuel that leaks out. Get a catch can or a bucket, wear gloves, safety glasses, and let's go ahead and get to it. Now on the back side of these green clips, there's gonna be a little tab on each side. So I'm gonna use a pick. All right, so we got the green clip down. Now it doesn't remove, it just comes down, you'll see that it's unlocked. And you'll be able to wiggle that down. Now we want to go ahead and try and slide this off. Now we want to go and do the same to the red one in the back. Go up and release those little lock tabs on the back side. Pull that down. Use our hose pliers. Next thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and remove the hardware holding this heat shield in place. Now there's going to be a series of 10mm bolts or actual nuts. Ours, unfortunately, is rusted, but there will be one here. Fall over, there's going to be one right here. Here. There's going to be one right up above the exhaust, right up there. There's going to be one right here, just to the side of the muffler. Actually, ours are still there. Chances are that's going to break when we remove it. And that's it. Once we remove all of those there, that'll allow this heat shield to drop down, and then we'll go ahead and remove the gas tank straps. All right, so we're cutting our tie straps that are holding this in place. And that's going to allow our shield to drop down. Now ideally what you want to do is go ahead and get a tool to go ahead and support the gas tank. A normal gas tank tool or jack wouldn't fit this at this time because we have the heat shield here in the way, as well as we have the straps at an angle, so we can't really get that in right now. Our best option is to use our pole jack with a block of wood to evenly distribute the weight. And we're not going to lift the tank, we're just going to support it in place, so don't crush your tank. You can use your floor jack to do this as well. Make sure you put a piece of wood there so you don't have the corners to damage the tank itself. With the supported, we're going to go to the front and remove the bolt that holds the straps in place. Now just beside where we disconnected the fuel lines from the fuel filter, we're going to move inward towards the middle of the vehicle, and our gas tank straps come up to one bolt in the middle. It's a 13mm. We're going to use our 13mm socket extension and our impact driver and loosen that bolt. Now I switch over to my regular ratchet here. I just want to get a feel for that bolt. We don't want to risk breaking that up inside. So by using the hand ratchet, we can feel it loosening without binding. Now that we have the bolt out, I want to go ahead and pull this, I'll separate these two. And now we can go ahead and pull these out of the back. I want to go take your strap, we're going to rotate it, and we want to work this out. And we're going to repeat this process for the other side. Now if you take this strap here, we're going to rotate it outward and remove the locking portion here from the inside of the chassis, just like we did on the driver's side. All right, now at this point here, with assistance, we're going to go ahead and we're going to lower our jack stand, and we have our gas tank jack underneath. We're going to lift this up and slide this under. Now at this point here, we're going to try and lower this down just a little bit. And we have to do this slowly because we have to gain access to the top of the tank to disconnect some lines. We also have that line on the back of the tank we need to disconnect as well. With the tank supported, we want to come over here on the passenger side. We have a return line here, and this has one of those safety clips on it. So we're going to use our pocket screwdriver to go ahead and release this. We need to pinch these here and then pull that line out. There it is. Now we're going to go ahead and lower the tank a little bit, and so we can go ahead and gain access to the top of it. Now with the tank dropped down a little bit, we can go ahead and access the wiring harness here. It goes to the top of the tank and comes over onto the driver's side in the back. We need to disconnect this connector. I'm going to use my little pocket screwdriver. I like to pop on in here. I want to disconnect this. There it is. At this point here, we have a little assistance. We're going to go ahead and slowly lower this tank down and get this on the ground. Now we have our tank out on the ground here, and we will need to open up this unit here. If you have debris on the top of the tank, which chances are you do, you need to clean that. You don't want to have any of this debris fall down inside the tank. We're going to use compressed air, safety glasses, and some gloves, and want to go ahead and clean this. Now that we have this all cleaned up, we want to go ahead and remove these two lines right here. It's going to be the same as the other ones that we did before. There's going to be two little clips on each side. In most cases, you can just get your finger underneath. We're going to use our pocket screwdriver to assist us in pushing in on those tabs and pushing that up. Now you're not removing the clip, you're just pulling that up, and then we want to wiggle this hose off. Get a little bit of fuel in that line, but nothing major. We're going to do the same on this one over here. There it is. Just going to use my hose pliers here to assist me in sliding that off. Just going to grab a rag to go ahead and sop up some of that fuel. All right, so now we have to go ahead and release this green locking ring here. Now, whatever you do, don't use a flathead steel screwdriver. You don't want to hit anything on here that's going to make a spark. Obviously, we have fuel here. If you don't have fuel here, you get fuel vapors here. No steel on that. You want to use a brass punch if you can. You want to come around to these tabs, and you want to go ahead and tap these tabs and unlock it. Yes. There we go. You can see that lock ring moving. Work that off. Here we go. Break that free. Now take note of the position here. We have one of the main lines here, straight back, and this one over this way here. I'm going to rotate this until the tab lines up, and then lift this up and out. Now that we have this loose, we're going to pull this up. And then the bottom portion here, we have the fuel pump assembly right here with the sending unit. Now there's going to be a little tab right here, and this identical tab is going to be right on the other side of it, on the other side of this little brown hose here. Now what you need to do is you need to reach down, and you're going to pull those tabs inward. You're going to basically pinch them, and that will release the locking mechanism. Once they're unlocked, you can go ahead and start to work the unit up and out. Now you are going to spill fuel here. Make sure you have a bucket or a container to go ahead and capture the rest of the stuff there. Pull the filter up and out. Pull the float out, and then get it into your catch can. I want to go ahead and grab the rubber O-ring in here. Peel that up and out. And remove that. Now right where the O-ring came out, it's best if you can go ahead and clean that little track. I'm just gonna use my rag and run around the perimeter. Make sure you're wiping away. You don't wanna have any debris fall down inside the tank. Take the O-ring, drop that into place, make sure that fits right in there. Now I wanna grab the fuel pump assembly. We need to get that float inside first, feed that towards the front, and roll this in. Get your filter inside, tuck that down and in, line that up. Make sure that your locking tabs are forward and back. Push that down and push in. You're gonna hear it lock into place. Now we can go ahead and get our lid on, line it up with the tabs, and then I'm gonna rotate this, and it's gonna stop. You can't rotate any more to the right counterclockwise, so that's perfect. Grab your lock ring, bring that around. And we're gonna rotate that clockwise. And using your brass punch, you wanna go ahead and tap that in, lock that on. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this. All right, so when we're locking this down, you're gonna notice on the green lock ring here, there's gonna be little bumps. There's gonna be a little bump here and a little bump, and there's gonna be like little locking tabs. As you're locking this into place, you wanna make sure that that locking bump goes beyond the metal tab here, and that's what locks it into place. There's gonna be a little ramp here, 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 and those are pretty much gonna be the stopping point. You wanna make sure that that tab, the little bump, is beyond the tab and the ramp approaches this. Otherwise, this won't lock into place and it can come loose. And let's go ahead and secure that in. Let's now go ahead and grab our fuel lines and pop those back on. I'm gonna bring those on over. And these are pretty basic. You're gonna line it up, push that on, and once it's bottomed out, press the lock tab down. Now these will not press down if you're not fully seated. You can line this up, do the same thing over here, push that on, lock it in. Now we got our tank on our jack. We're gonna lift this up into position. It's gonna take a little bit of effort because we have to get this around our heat shield. Now right about here, we're gonna stop. We wanna go ahead and connect that connector up top. Go ahead and grab your connector. You're gonna line that up and push that on. Make sure you hear and feel engaged. The last thing you wanna do is get everything all assembled and find out that this is not connected properly. Now that we have the tank up in position, you wanna go ahead and double check around the perimeter. Make sure that all of your lines that you needed to connect are free and not bound up anywhere. So we have the tube on the side. We have the tube for the fuel filter in front of the tank, and then your fill tube on the back side as well. Make sure everything is clear. Then we go ahead and push this up a little bit further, and we're going to get our other jack to put it underneath the middle here and get this supported. Now here we are with our pole jack. I'm just gonna use this here. It's gonna help us raise this up into position a little bit better. Before we install our straps, we're gonna go ahead and get all of our fuel line connections installed, at least on the side here and on the fuel filter. Let's go ahead and do that now. Get our side line on here, line that up. You're gonna hear it click in and then push the lock down. Now let's go ahead and connect our fuel filter lines. I'm gonna go ahead and do the one on the upper portion here. Push that on. And let's see, gotta push that a little bit harder on there. There we go. It won't lock if that's not far enough on. There we go. Let's take our passenger side fuel tank strap, feed it up, has to go in sideways and then twist it. Now I want to go ahead and get the other one installed on the driver's side. Okay, let's feed this one up in a position. And rotate that. The driver's side strap goes underneath the passenger side strap. Get your bolt put through. sandwich them together. And we're gonna feed this up in a position. Now you might have to work that tank back and forth a little bit left or right to go ahead and get those straps to line up where they need to be. Now before I tighten this, I need to make sure I leave enough room so I can pull my strap out. I can now go ahead and lower my pole jack a little bit. Now I'm not going to remove it, I just want to make sure that I have room to pull the strap out. So let's go ahead and do that. And now we can go ahead and run that bolt up, securing the tank in place. Make sure that's good and tight. Now we can go ahead and remove our pole jack completely, or you can roll your floor jack away. Now underneath here, at this point, you want to go ahead and grab your heat shield. You want to grab the securing nuts that you have to attach this here. Go around the perimeter, installing the nuts to hold it in place. Now in our particular case, because our studs are rotted out, we do want to get this lined up the best we can. We're going to use some plastic wire ties to hold this up. We're now going to go ahead and connect this to our tank, pushing this on. Once it's on, we should be able to press our lock over. All right, we have our lock on the tank side. And go ahead and disconnect our securing strap here. So if you spray the inside of that hose a little bit with some spray solvent, get that lined up and work that on. The solvent will help that kind of pop in. Use our 7mm socket on our ratchet, and we want to go ahead and tighten down our hose clamp on the fuel filler tube. Here we go. Good to install the fuel fill cap. Close the door.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.